So when you're working with the source code in Emacs, and especially if you're trying to implement literate programming, I recently started, not recently, but earlier this year, I started using literate programming within Emacs. And the great thing about literate programming is that you have a document, and your document can contain code, and you can do wonderful things with your code. In the beginning, I was not sure how it will work, how exactly it will work, but I think it works really well. I have made videos on this topic, and today I want to show you one really interesting thing that I am sure you will appreciate. So let us say you're working with piece of code. It could be in any language. So in my example, I will show you my Emacs configuration, not really the whole file, but a snippet. So in this particular document, so this document is nothing but my blog post that I wrote, and I'm constantly updating it with new things that I'm learning. So let us say if you have inserted this piece of code within begin source and end source, and the type or the language is Emacs Lisp. Now, of course, when you choose the language here, it will make sure that the formatting is correct. So you have proper formatting. However, if you're writing maybe slightly lengthy code, you may want features like autocomplete, or maybe if you're using snippets, you may want those snippets to also be there to assist you when you're writing code. And there is a way of doing it. So when you're working with this document, if you notice here in my, this is my org file. And when you have org file, when you're working with org file, you will have org mode enabled. And it can be a bit confusing for this piece of code to show you autocomplete. And there's a way to basically pull out this particular piece of code in a separate buffer with just one shortcut. So if you press Ctrl C and the single quote, it will open that same piece of code. It has highlighted, first of all. If you look like on top, the code is the snippet is highlighted, but you can work on this code separately in your different buffer. And the good thing is that you can have your autocomplete, your snippets all available. It depends how you have configured your Emacs. But for example, if I do something like set queue or whatever, it will show me the pop-up. It will also show me the autocomplete features if I want, and it can basically help me in assisting. It will basically assist me, and it makes the experience a lot richer. I will simply close it, and I will press Ctrl C and that single quote again. Now I'm out of this buffer, and I'm back to my document. Now the good thing is that it also works with your other type of other languages basically. So let us say if you are doing something with maybe CSS or HTML. Let us use maybe Java, for example. So if I press the less than S and press tab, it will insert the template, and I have different templates. Like for example, I have template for my Groovy language. So in this particular source code block, if I want to work with Java, I can have Java here. And then maybe let us say you're trying to explain to someone what is a for loop. So you can type in here for, and you can do something like int I is equal to 0, whatever. So basically you can do that. It will show you the formatting, but the experience is, it works good for small snippets. But when you have to write maybe a bit more code, you need some assistance. In case you need some assistance, you can use the separate buffer. So if you press Ctrl C and single quote, it will open the same thing, the same piece of code in a separate buffer for you. And here you can have all the magic, all the Emacs magic. So if you, let us say, want to insert maybe your for loop, you can have it here, and as you can see, it will basically help you a lot. So basically it is as good as working with a Java file in a separate Java mode. You can see here, if you look here, it says Java mode here, which is detected based on the snippet that I was working on, and it works for all the modes that you have in your Emacs. And I think this feature is something that I really appreciate, because I am writing a book on Groovy. It is called as Mastering Groovy. I'm not really sure about the title, and the book will be there online. It will be, of course, free, like my other content. And I want to, of course, write this book with proper examples. And I'm using Literate Programming. I'm using different Groovy snippets. But when I'm writing code, I feel that I can be a bit more faster if I have the autocomplete features there for me. And to be honest, more than autocomplete, I prefer when I'm working on a code, I prefer working on a separate buffer, inside a separate buffer, so I can focus on the code. I can do wonderful things with it. So it is like doing literate programming within a document, but you don't feel like you're working within a document. You feel like you're working with just a code, with just your Groovy code or Java code or HTML code or CSS code, any kind of code that you may want to have in your document. And that is all I wanted to talk about and show you today in this video. It is already, most likely this is already enabled. If you press Ctrl+C and single quote, it will open the buffer, and you have to press this from within your source code block. So do give it a try. Bye.